would you rather see me or I don't know, Anna Kendrick giving you financial news? I'm taking Anna Kendrick. So what, tariffs this weekend? More tariffs? More kind of like semi-fake, semi-real tariffs. A lot of vol in crypto. Fartcoin's back above 60 cents. Although Trump's token suffering a little bit. Super Bowl is boring. I'm usually pretty amped for the Super Bowl, but this one was kind of dull. Yeah, I saw the Central African Republic thing. That's kind of a bearish signal too. A lot of Kanye tweets over the weekend. That reminds me of something, actually. That was interesting. Bitcoin at 97K. Yeah, I need to grab my cell phone in case Kanye calls me. Yeah, so earnings season continues. Most companies are out of the way. Is NVIDIA soon? Maybe like March 1st. I got a kitty cat here whining and crying. All right, so one thing we could do is finish the due diligence for farming. We're going to do more requests than ever before. Celsius is requested. Yeah, we could do a little Carvana. Wow, Celsius has dropped a lot since we last looked at it. It's around a 5.2 billion market cap right now. We probably have to look at Monster if we want to look at Celsius. Yeah, so 5.3 billion market cap. That's because there's $22 a share. There are 235 million shares. That's a lot of shares, right? Each one's $22. So if you wanted to, I don't know, own 10% of the company, you would have to spend, you'd have to buy 23.5 million shares. Does that make sense? Because there's 235. 23.5 million shares. Even if they were a dollar each, that's 23.5 million, but they're not a dollar each, they're $22 each. So that's 530 million, and you would own 10% of the company. And then, if you own 10% of the company, you're probably the largest shareholder. You get to call some of the shots. You have some say, but you still don't own that much. What's interesting is I haven't heard of any of these other drinks. Most of these other drinks, I should say. Of course, I drank Red Bull myself. Monster, I know because it was one of the hottest stocks in the world. Celsius, we drink sometimes at work. C4, I never heard of. Rockstar, I've heard of, but mostly like in social media and stuff like that. Then you've got the next five I've never heard of. Ghost, Alani, Rain, Nos I might have heard of. And then Bang, never heard of any of these. And that's not Rockstar, the Take-Two brand. Okay, so how'd they do in Q3 and how are they going to do in Q4? I want to show you guys this concept of alternative data, really important. And it shows you what you're up against when you trade. Oh, they had a monster. Did they have monster? No, they had a terrible Q3. Got it. They had a worse Q3 than even I thought they would have. So instead of doing 280, they did, instead of doing 320, they did 265. Oof. And I know there was some Pepsi, some weird Pepsi arrangement, stocking or something. I don't know what it was. But revenue was down 31%, which, probably freaked investors out. Okay, so yeah, the question becomes what'll sort of happen. Press release for the quarter, guidance or whatever it is they give. Do they give guidance? Hard to say, I'm not sure. It's not really that much work, Umar. Yeah, so I'm not really sure they give forward-looking guidance, which makes it, maybe they give it on the call. I don't know. So there's something called, there's a couple of these things. One is called YIPIT data. And so YIPIT data, what Wall Street funds do is they buy this data, which is credit card data. And they know day to day, every single day, what the sales are for Celsius from those credit cards. Now, the credit cards aren't everything, but they tell you a little bit of the story. So when somebody buys a Celsius from CVS or from Dorian Reed or whatever, they are, getting that kind of data and trying to figure it out. Another one is Seven Park. So anyway, there's, I think they're mostly looking for enterprise contracts. So we're going to basically add this to GODEL, and that's going to be the way that you can buy it without being a big firm. So stay tuned for that. Credit card data, so you can see throughout the quarter whether you know, is the company's going to meet their guidance or meet their earnings or something like that. A couple of these players, and we'll be able to get that data. So let's listen to the call.
But does impact our margin.
Well, they said that it impacted by 124 million, right? Did you guys hear that? So I just added that back.
Sales created revenue headwinds due to the imbalance that existed between the decreased sell-in to our distributor and increased sell-through at retail.
Okay, I just want to make sure I got that number right. So 124 million. All we have to do is add that back. So I took 266, which is atrocious because last year was 385. And if you're a growth company, revenue's supposed to be going up, not down. So we take that 120, what was it, 124, 129? I think they said 129. And we put that back in, I think it was 124. And growth would have only been plus 1%, which would still freak me out. So 1.5 billion. It's trading like a no-growth company, though. They're complaining about all kinds of other stuff, that there are all kinds of other problems with inventory. And, well, who's saying more people are trying it? Yeah, usually you only have inventory problems if you're not selling through, right? You ship too much inventory and you don't sell through enough, you have to wait before you ship again. So it's not a good problem either way. Yikes. So what would you pay for a no-grower? I mean, you'd pay something. It's kind of trading like it's a no-grower. No, not Celsius from crypto. That's Mashinsky. I wouldn't short it. It's trading at 3 times sales.
And are listening via loudspeaker on your device, please pick up your handset.
You know, for a beverage company, kind of
on mute when asking your question.
Subdued. Okay, I think I got a good picture. I lean slight positive. But of course, you know, I'd stay away from it. It seems like they are growing. This inventory disaster, these things do happen. It happens a lot in pharma. It happens a lot in every industry. And the underlying growth last quarter was pretty bad. It's not that expensive as it is. With some resumption of growth, I don't know. It's challenging. I'd probably stay away from it without more data. Again, this is where the alternative data really shines. Wow, look at that stock. It's gotten really beat up. Can you believe this thing was $100 a share? See, when people ride with growth stocks, they really ride with growth stocks. I don't think it's starting to get to a price where it's hard to say it's overvalued. And so if it dropped to like 15 or something, I'd probably buy it. But yeah, that's what, like, I agree with 𝗔𝗍. It's roughly right. Maybe slight upside, but that also is, it's upside if a lot of things go right. Well, Monster is public, so, you know, we should look at Monster at some point. Yeah, so this is a $45 billion company in Monster, so, you know, we'll see how they're doing. I always thought Oatly was a dog. I mean, it's kind of a bankrupt company almost. Yeah, it sounds like a really tough, crowded category. Its best growth days are behind it. You know, energy drinks 20 years ago were like really wild idea that worked really well. And now we're looking at a world that's a bit different. I'm actually going to make a quick Monster model just because I'm really curious about this company. I followed this company 15 or so years ago. I was long and obviously did amazing. Briefly had a guy looking at consumer stocks for me. First, generate some profitable trades. Then you can listen to some Kanye while you trade. So that's the problem with you Zoomers. You're too lazy. You want to listen to music while you work. But I need my music. I need to listen to music. You trying to get rich or are you trying to listen to music? Well, why would I listen to the earnings call when I can listen to Kendrick Lamar? He's got more information for my career.
𝗠𝗏𝗀𝗀.
Okay, so Monster isn't growing either, so that makes sense. So energy drinks are just a soft category. So the 1% growth, when you add back the Pepsi distributor problem, that's exactly the revenue growth for Monster. So it's really no lies detected. And if they're not gaining share, yeah, I don't know. It looks like it's fairly valued. It definitely doesn't look cheap. Kanye had some crazy tirades over the weekend. I think he's, I don't know what to say. There's a heart deep down in that guy. The guy's really got conviction in his beliefs. It's remarkable. All right, cash flow from... Oh, did he delete his X account? He did? Oh, man. I got this text last night. 12:41, call urgent from Kanye's camp. I missed the call. I was asleep. No, I just got up, so I texted back. I said, let me know when you're awake. What? There was a Super Bowl ad, too? Yeah, I mean, I think the way he looks at it is performance art. Is he's basically trying to... There are artists who believe that, like, and I don't endorse this, by the way, but there was one person after 9/11, which, if you guys know me well, you know how much 9/11 impacted my life. There was somebody at the time of 9/11 who said that it was the greatest artwork ever done, the whole disaster. And, you know, it's really insulting at the time. But yeah, part of some artists want to do is shock people. I think a lot of different cultures don't know each other and take stereotypes and uses stereotypes for replacement of everybody else. And Kanye says stereotypes are real. We don't sell API yet. Okay, so Monster's pretty expensive too. I got to look at the full year cash flow. Monster doesn't exactly look cheap, if you know what I mean. They were growing quite quickly, quite rapidly, strongly, robustly. Okay, cash flow. Yeah. All right, let's take a look at AstraZeneca. Reported last week, but we didn't have time to. My decision on Arvinas is to stay away, not trade it. Like, I think trade it after the data. It's there's just not much data to sink your teeth into. I mean, I think it's possibly bullish, but it's very risky. So there's no real need to make a bet there. It's very unclear. I know there's temptation to make a bet anyway, but you really have to resist the temptation. I mean, there's just not enough information to make the bet. Yeah, Celsius I would avoid. Let me write that down in requests. If Monster isn't growing, I don't see how they grow. It's just this category sucks. People are saturated with energy drinks. There's no crazy BBAI. Should we look into that? Everyone went to the Super Bowl. My buddy was begging me to come, but I didn't want to go. I'm honestly taking a backseat from trading. Last week, I was just trading so much. It made me feel like I was running a hedge fund again. And I think that there's a reason I don't do that anymore. Like, my job is to grow our software company. I do these streams to show our software off. But like getting into like professional money management isn't my job. Otherwise I'd raise money and do the whole kit and caboodle. So it's very stressful. It's very intense. And I just don't need to do it. So in any event. All right, let's look at these. Yeah, personally, I think hedge funds should be shorting. So I would say it's, private investment partnership, which is fine. You don't have to short. Yeah, to do trading effectively, I'd have to really do it round the clock. And I do it with you guys. I get some good investment ideas, but I think to be really active in a portfolio is going to be tricky. I think so, Jerome. I mean, I think everyone uses software a little bit differently, and we want to accommodate like everyone and how they do things. But okay, so Tagrisso is still growing. It's kind of impressive. And it's such a big drug that, like, the question is, like, is J&J going to... J&J has the best data in terms of replacing Tagrisso. It's going to go generic at some point. But, man, this thing's still pounding out 10, 20% growth. Rather impressive. Yeah, pretty low volume. D-Wave is up on the volume list. Rigetti's top 10, so I don't know if it's that bad. I think IVVD is worth, getting into if it drops pretty hard, yeah. I don't know about 150 versus 1 versus 125. I mean, it's hard to say.
Order partially filled.
AstraZeneca.
Order filled.
Yeah, retail participation in markets is generally bearish. It also fuels the fire of a bubble. Okay, 𝗫𝗫𝗄 is, as you guys know, AstraZeneca's PD-1 inhibitor. That was in line on PD-1. That's like Keytruda, the biggest selling drug. I think atezolizumab is PD-L1. 𝗫𝗫𝗄 is PD-1. Anybody know for sure? I don't know what you do if you're an average person. I'm not sure you should be investing unless you have the time to dedicate to it. I don't know. I wouldn't invest. It's risky. Even DCA. I mean, what are you DCAing? I wouldn't invest or trade if I was the average Joe. It's a very, very scary financial world. Is kill or be killed. Very tricky. Every time you make a trade, you're at a disadvantage. Every time. I don't know that the horizon helps you either. What guarantees do we even have that the S&P will go up? None whatsoever. If you want to be bullish on America, I think, you can be. But you're making an implicit bet. Just because the S&P has gone up for decades doesn't mean it'll keep going up for decades. There's no reason to believe that that has to be the case. What intrinsically about the S&P 500 means it has to go up? I'm not saying China's it either. I'm not saying real estate's it either. I'm just saying you have to ask tough questions. America's worked really well because we've had generally hands-off regulation, generally low taxes, generally good contract law and things like that. A lot's changed. I mean, look at Elon with Tesla. The guy couldn't even get his own bonus. He was contractually obligated to get. So it was very, people like AOC want to make being a billionaire illegal. We have unprecedented debt levels. We had social unrest for a while. Things look like they're going to be normalizing, which is good. But if you believe in the homeostasis that, okay, things were getting bad such that people like Elon basically got involved in politics, said we got to fix this before America just doesn't work anymore. And, they were able to sort of get in there and try to fix it. But, people are still trying to stop that,
𝗤𝗏𝗘𝗀.
So we don't know what's going to happen. There are many countries you can look up the history of the world that had great economic leads and then fell.
𝗤𝗏𝗘𝗀.
People said the same thing about Japan. We were scared in the 80s of Japan. We were deathly afraid that it was all over for America. And Japan was the greatest economy. Japan is an afterthought now. Can you imagine what the British Empire thought? They thought they would never, ever be challenged. Or the Dutch Empire. The Dutch invented the corporation. Where are they now? Bad policy will do that to you. The policies that our politicians make are important. You're right. Population decline is something very important as well. Population decline is very threatening. Well, after inflation, after taxes, after risk, I'm not sure you get that much out of the stock market. Now, the Dutch were the biggest economy in the world. Right now, their biggest company is ASM Lithography. Dutch had some of the most wealth in the world. They own Manhattan. It's called the New Amsterdam. There's no Dutch Empire anymore. Yeah, Dalio thinks it's China's turn.
𝗤𝗏𝗘𝗀.
We'll see. Yeah, no, culture and equality of life, those are important things, but raw economic power is something totally different. Yeah, I'm not saying I'm bearish on America, by the way. I'm saying you just have to be vigilant and understand that there is a bet in every bet that you make. And if you think that I'm DCAing, I'm different, you're not different. There's no, you're just making a bet on America, which, if you live here, you're making a bet on America anyway. So nothing wrong with that. Make a bet on America. That's fine. That's what Buffett says. And that's why Buffett says that, by the way. It's because he knows what it is. You can bet on countries. That's what Soros did for a living, right? You can bet that the UK does well and that France doesn't do well. There's indices, there's currencies. There used to be currencies in that case. Used to actually could bet on the franc versus the pound. Now it'd be the euro. But, this is called macro. You could bet on their bonds. You can still bet on their bonds. You can bet on their CDS. There is a way to do this, So when you buy American stocks, you're betting on America implicitly. I mean, betting against Europe has worked really well. Betting against Europe has been the bet for the last 10 years. It's worked marvelously. I think all of Europe basically except for Germany, has been a good short. Yeah, we look at SAP. Yeah, I mean, the BRICS.
Shorting,
being long BRICS.
𝗤𝗏𝗘𝗀.
Was a strat as well. It underperformed, I think, being long America. I mean, I like America just fine as long as, our politicians sort of stay out of the way.
𝗕𝗙�10𝗡𝗢𝗋,
Which, you know, they
𝗕𝗙𝗪,
seem to not want to stay out of the way unless they have their own rackets. Like the USAID stuff is, you know, pretty scary stuff.
𝗕𝗙𝗪,
You know, they want their own kickbacks and rackets. If they get those kickbacks and rackets, they're seemingly happy. But even still, they get power hungry and they want to control everything. Look at Hillary and others. It's a kind of a kleptocracy. Chelsea Clinton, you know, and her wild kickbacks was something of interest. How Chelsea Clinton get so rich? Oh, I've met Hillary and Chelsea. I've mostly been trading this IonQ stock, which I'm very bearish on. That's kind of most of my time is being spent on in terms of trading. If I see other opportunities, I'll play with them. No, I was never set up with Chelsea. That's a family likes rich people, very rich people. It's too, and they like rich people with provenance. You know, their families are somebody important.
𝗕𝗙𝗪,
that kind of thing. Yeah, I think like if you can't, most people, you know what it's like saying? It's like saying, well, I can't be a professional football player because I'm not an athlete and this and that. Well, I want the next best alternative. How do I play football? How do I play NFL football without being an NFL player? It's like, imagine asking Travis Kelce that or Patrick Mahomes. Hey, I want to play in the NFL, but I'm not really that talented. You know, I'm old and fat.
𝗕𝗙𝗪,
What can I do to play in the NFL anyway? Yeah, I don't know. I don't know, bro. Yeah, I'm happy for Kramer. He was real lifelong Philly fan, man. Real lifelong Philly fan. A lot of crazy things happen, and I thought about shorting Jill Stool, but like I said, like I don't want to be a trader. I don't want to trade all day. I want to build the software. And I sort of got into this rabbit hole of just trading. And I'm sitting here whipping around millions of dollars. Like, what am I doing? This isn't my job. My job is a startup CEO. And I love building this community. It's about 12 of us on GODEL. I love building this community. And part of that is investing. I have a job. And yeah, I mean, I just work on the start. It's my job it's my forever job. No, it's not that. It's just that I don't know that I want to spend all my time trading meme coins and stocks. Like, it's profitable, sure, but like, I mean, I'm working on them, Peter. But like, I could build many hundreds of millions of dollars of wealth, or I could try trading, you know, making $1 million at a time or something like that. I don't know. I'm an entrepreneur. So, right, but that's the thing. I mean, if I'm trading meme coins, I'm not really showing the platform off. I'm just like, a lot of the stuff I'm doing, I don't even want you guys to see it. Like, I'm just sitting there looking at prices all day. Like, that doesn't help you. It doesn't really help me. You know, I have to take stock into what I really want, how I really want to add value. Yeah, we're a software company called DL Software. You can find more information on dl.software. Jason's our CTO, correct? I don't say there's an end goal. The goal of any company is to grow revenue and earnings, right? So I think at some point we could do transactions, but the market just for research tools is pretty big. But I also think it's going to be one of those cases where as we get almost profitable, we just spend more money. GODEL is offered for free, Milan. Why don't you look into that before you say something? That's a better question. It's not just a free month. You can sign up and be an anonymous user. You don't need to pay. You don't get the chat room and some other features, but I don't really care about SMA. Yeah, we're not an API company. There's plenty of other companies that make APIs. Yeah, we're getting that any day now, Patrick. We have a big contract with a big data company. We're competing with, I guess, like pitting them against each other to get the best deal. No, we don't have portfolio functions yet. That's definitely on the horizon, though. I mean, I think that's super important.